Oh God. Oh, we are live. We are live. We are live. All right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you're joining us from. This is your show, your number one show, the Nigeria We Want. This is a place where we talk about Nigeria, about what's going on in at home and abroad. So we would like to welcome you to our show tonight. Joining me are the panelists. So we already have Mr. Wale Olaito, who is our intercontinental moderator. You're welcome, Mr. Wale Olaito, to the show.
Thank you very much, Dr. Omi Folaji. It's good to be back on our number one show, The Nigeria We Want.
Yeah, and our other panelists hopefully will be joining us soon. They've been traveling, so hopefully they will join us as soon as they can. So you are welcome to our show. You're welcome, and please make comments as to where you're joining us from. If you want to be with us in the join us and be with us in the on the show, just make a comment and we will send you the link. You can actually be with us and discuss whatever we'll be talking about today. So, Mr. Wale Lighton, how's your week been?
Yeah, there was a public holiday on Tuesday, for the Anzac Day. So obviously it was a short week. So
Yeah.
Monday was work, then public holiday on Tuesday, and return to work on Wednesday. So a very short week, but like many short weeks, there are a lot of things to
To do.
do.
Yeah.
So it was a busy one.
Well, okay. Oh, yeah. So it's the same here. I just
Yeah.
like that. The week ended. So here we had it's
I know
Friday night.
you've been so busy on many fronts.
It's
You've
been
been busy
crazy
as
busy.
per all your
But I,
businesses,
yep,
and I can see on spiritual level as well. You've been
oh,
busy with your new calling, your
yes,
pastoral
yes,
work.
yes, which
Yes,
I
so that's
ran away from for so many years. But, you know, I just believe that it's time. It's time.
this time.
And
Okay, I think I could see the trend when you went to Jerusalem. Was it early this year or was that
early
late
this
last?
year, in
Early this
January
year.
this year. Mm,
Yes, I think I follow your post at the time with
mm.
Dr. Man, and I knew it was more than just tourist kind of thing.
Much more. It was a
Like
spiritual exercise.
so I saw that because I see most of these things through the lens of just tourism, like going to different
Mm,
places, different cultures, and see a few things. But following your post and everything, I knew it was more than tourism, that you were there for some
totally.
spiritual things. Yeah.
Mm,
So
mm.
remember me your prayers, yeah, and with
You
your
are blessed,
new
my
with your
brother.
calling. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
You're blessed. You're blessed. All right. So today it's all about what is happening in Sudan. It is so sad that if you remember a few years back, it's my dad was actually around at that time. So it was around 2019, no, 2009, sorry, 2009,
Okay.
that during Nigerian associations October event, it was my husband that he was asked to talk at that event,
Okay.
like the keynote speaker. And I remember him talking about Nigeria. We don't have natural disaster, but what we have is mental disaster. That sentence there has so much in it, and he tried to unpack it. And and I look at the situation in Sudan at the moment. It's not. This is not the first. This is not the second, and this is not going to be the last.
Okay.
But when we look at our situation in Nigeria, we've been through a lot all the time, and we haven't resulted to this yet. and we hope and pray we don't. But Sudan is in that position again. And our people, I mean, we live here in Australia, we see so many Sudanese that are migrants, not migrants, that are refugees. Now we have Nigerians living in Sudan. We have Nigerians studying in Sudan. What are your thoughts around this, Mr. Lighton?
Yeah, yeah. So just just a bit of background as well. You remember there was the old Sudan, and there was this ethno-religious conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
So very similar to what we have in Nigeria. Up north in Sudan, they have the
Yeah.
predominantly Muslim.
Mm,
So they, if they look more like Arabs. If I want to go into that specific, kind of description, and then at that time we have the Sudanese that is well known to people. The tall, really tall, lanky Sudanese. They are from the southern part of Sudan. So, for many years, they had this ethno-religious, war for many years between them, and then they came up with the idea to divide them into two nations. So today we have South Sudan, where the Christians they reside in South Sudan. Most of South Sudanese we see them around in Melbourne. They call Melbourne
mm,
home in Australia.
yeah.
We still also have some Sudanese, that came, together during the crisis over there.
Mm,
Um, but for now, what we are currently witnessing is within the Sudan. The north is the old northern Sudan that is now
Arab.
predominantly occupied by Arabs. That is
Mm,
where we are having a crisis now. Even though they divide the country into two, currently we have two generals within that same place, fighting themselves and killing, and killing each other. It's
nonsense,
it
yeah.
is yes, I'm sure we're going to talk more, like your thoughts around why do we have thousands of Nigerians in
Mm,
Sudan. To me,
yes.
I also reflected on that. On a broader level, I reflected on it from the angle of, I know the world itself is a global village. People move around,
Mm-hmm.
so but I still ask myself, what are Nigerians, actually doing in Sudan? And a lot of
Mm,
them are actually students in
yeah.
Sudan. So I don't know
Mm,
what kind of education in Nigeria wants to get that a Nigerian cannot get in Nigeria and has to go to
go
Sudan
to
or for
Sudan
places.
for it.
So yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I've had these questions in me that what is actually going on? Are there things that we don't know, or are Nigerians those are they just desperate to go anywhere at all but Nigeria?
yeah. The way I see it, I think historically that part of the world has a long history around scholarship, Islamic scholarship,
Okay.
in Sudan. So I would think that there are many people that really want to study Islam and a lot
Mm,
of stuff around Arabic. I would think that's is one of the reasons why we have many Nigerian students. Then my thinking is that many of those students are actually attending any
mm,
of these universities or studying some Islamic religious or some Arabic form of cultural studies. But we
mm,
have more time to unpack that later on the
yeah.
program.
All right. So I think we will just go straight to the first part of the show, which is the segment about what is trending.
Okay.
So what is trending for me is the drug crisis in Nigeria. Drug crisis. I read somewhere that the crisis in Nigeria, when you talk about drugs, now it's around 500 billion naira worth of seizures every year. 500 naira, 500
100
billion
billion naira.
naira.
Yeah.
So I mean, in the last week or so, there have been allegers and alleges caught. with lots and lots of wraps of cocaines going to Mecca. They were traveling with the packages, and one of them was actually exposed the travel agent, who is also a Laji, who sold the ticket to her, and they were you know the Baba Saleh of all this for them. So packaging those packages and giving it to these people to take along, um, which is scary. And there was an influencer. So people go online and they see influencers talking about how rich they are, living life, living rich, living, looking beautiful, showing off expensive stuff. um, there's this particular girl who has been an influencer for many people. She'll show off all these things, and people, thousands of people will comment, millions will comment. She had lots and lots of followers. Only a few days ago, she passed away because one of the drug that she ingested busted inside her. So when people now see people like that online asking for what they have, wanting to their lives to be like theirs, you never know what's underneath. You never know what people are delving into. So I can't remember whether the girl, she's from Nigeria or whatever.
No, she's not. I think she's from Kenya. On top of
Yeah,
my
yeah,
head,
exactly.
I think she has a link to Nigeria. Her boyfriend was a Nigerian.
Mm,
Yeah, and I think
mm,
she was traveling to, I think, one of these very tough countries when it comes to drug trafficking. I think she
mm.
was going to Malaysia of all places,
All
and
places.
of all places. And then yeah, I read that at the airport she was just behaving very funny, and then they had to rescue her. And then well, yeah, she died. Yeah,
Mm,
I think is the whole thing is about just demand and supply. So that
mm,
explains why people want to take it to a place like Saudi Arabia, because they know that demand for it for whatever reason is high, and because of that demand, but because of the law prohibits it and death sentence. So
mm.
people that really want to dare it, they dare it, and if they're able to get it through over there, is gonna they make a lot of money,
A
and
lot of
that's why
money.
people try to go to places like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, all those places with death sentence. They want to try because if they're able to get it through, they're gonna make maybe times 10 of whatever they want to make in another country. And I even think that Elijah, I think they're all criminals. They're just criminals, and they use these criminal syndicates. They hide under religion. They know people are very vulnerable and they are very gullible. So they take the advantage of their vulnerability and their gullibility, and then but come under religion and offer
Mm.
them these tickets. You're going to Mecca on free ticket or whatever, and then it looks so good, but also there's always a caveat at the end. The caveat is,
Mm.
but it's not going to be free. You're going to carry
Exactly.
something for us, and so
Mm.
um, and that has been the trend for a very long
Which is really sad, which is really sad. So like those are largely the new people that are going to Hajj. Probably I'm thinking this is the way. I haven't I, I, I haven't read anything contradictory to this, but when so many are getting sponsored by individuals. So when somebody is saying, I'm going to sponsor you, I'm going to pay for your ticket, I'm going to pay for your Hajj and everything, aren't you gonna be happy? And if that person says, just take this package and take it along, you didn't even know what's in there, because this person is your beneficiary,
time. Yeah,
is a sponsor. So you're happy
yeah.
to just do anything. So maybe that is exactly so. For them to sponsor somebody, give them, sponsor somebody. Maybe at the end of the day, with tickets and everything, it's gonna cost like 3 million naira, but the package they are giving to them, if that gets there successfully, they can make 50 million. So they will be happy to just let go of the three Meanwhile, the gullible person is thinking that, oh my goodness, this Alhaji is so kind. I'll do anything
Yeah,
for him, not knowing that they are putting their lives online. That's my
yeah. So
own.
I think there are two parts to it. There are people that genuinely do it for the reward thereafter. There are
Mm,
wealthy Muslims, just as
mm,
there are wealthy Christians that send people to holy pilgrimage in Jerusalem. There are wealthy Muslims that they do that, and they don't do that with anything attached. They see it as one of the key pillars of Islam. With my
mm,
upbringing, I know a lot about Islam, so it's one of the key pillars of Islam, and but it's well established that you do it when you have the means to do it.
mhm.
It's even the last pillar, of Islam. So it is the last pillar, uh, and then there's a condition. You do it if you can afford it. It's not like you
Exactly.
have to compulsorily,
That's
do it.
that's
But so just to buttress what you said, so there are people that genuinely they see it as if they're able to send someone, they're gonna get reward here and they're gonna get the reward thereafter. So there are people
never.
that genuinely they do that. But there are the criminal elements as well that obviously they take the advantage of that, pay for people's tickets and all that. But at the end of the day, they are just pure criminals. They are not even
Criminals.
business
Yeah.
people, they're just criminals
Mm,
taking advantage of people.
mm. All right. So, what
Yeah,
is
I
coming
think.
for you?
Yeah, I would think I will just to save the time. I think we've
Mm,
had a
let's
good
yeah.
conversation around that, and
Mm,
I would take that as what is trending for me too, so we can
yep.
go
And
straight
move on.
to the key point. So if you just join us, you are our number one show, the Nigeria we want. You are at the right place at the right time. So on the show today, we're looking at safety of citizens abroad as Lamentation, Agony, trail fate of Nigerians stranded in war in Sudan. So we'll be looking at that. So I go straight to the point, courtesy of our producer, Mr. Alabi. I'll provide the intro to today's program. It is sad that those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it. Letting citizens got trapped in precarious situations is becoming a recurring decima in the polity of Nigeria. When the war between Ukraine and Russia broke out in February 2022, many Nigerians in Ukraine got trapped in the hostilities. Those who got trapped depended on faith to stay alive. It is hard to say if there are lessons learned from that horrible experience. By April 2023, another war broke out in Sudan with many Nigerians caught in the crossfire. Fighting, fighting still rages between forces led by two generals in Khartoum, the country's capital. The war is between Sudanese armed forces loyal to General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, the country's de facto ruler, and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF), a collection of militia who follow the former warlord General Mohammed Adam Dagolo, popularly known as Emedeti. According to the United Nations, more than 450 people have been killed and an estimated 4,000 wounded in the conflict so far, with millions of Nigerians, especially students, said to be migrants in Sudan. There are mounting concerns that their safety. The federal government says no Nigeria has died in the ongoing crisis. On Wednesday, the federal government said it has spent $1.2 million to deploy 40 buses for the evacuation of about 2,400 Nigerians stranded out of Sudan. As of the last update, 13 buses left Khartoum on Wednesday for Aswan in Egypt, conveying 637 Nigerian nationals. So, what is the fate of Nigerians stranded in the war in Sudan amid evacuation efforts? Uh, so we go straight to the question. I think for now it's looking like it's going to be between me and Dr. Vicky again. We see how
Mm.
far we can go. So let's just go. How worried should Nigeria be about the safety of its citizens trapped in the war in Sudan? Dr.
Hmm.
Vicky.
Um, it's quite sad. We have leaders, but I'm not really sure. Why do we have to? Why does our leaders have to wait till people start complaining for them to do something? Um, I was actually speaking with somebody a few days ago now, kind of trying to remember who, and the person said that he would rather go anywhere with Australian passport than Nigerian passport. Even to Nigeria, he would rather, because in case anything happens, he knows that Australian government will go to any length to help him and take him out and help him out of that situation. Meanwhile, Nigeria government doesn't care. I listened to that person. I pondered on what the person said hours later, and I'm like, isn't that so true? What happened with the people that left Ukraine who had to leave Ukraine? Those students, medical students, those in year 4, year 5, about to finish medical school. But what happened? Some got stranded. Nothing came out of it. Now that was what we all saw that happened. Their parents, their family members had to do whatever they can to get them out of that situation. Now we have Sudan and this war, and what is their fate? What is going to happen? Yes, they've deployed some buses. After how long? When did the war start? When did they make that declare? What did they prepare for them? What did they do? I mean, what eventually led to them doing something about it? And even the buses that they got for them, was that even enough? We had 2,000, more than 2,000. How many people were they able to help to get out of the place?
As at Wednesday, official report from Nigeria stated that 637 Nigerians,
I thought
that the
2,000
government reported that they've successfully,
evacuated.
evacuated
So that
637
was
Nigerians.
after we have like over 2,000.
Yeah, over
Only
2,000
600 and something
so far as on
people
Wednesday. Yeah.
or more.
Yeah.
Don't they know the numbers? And why they using buses actually? They can't
Yeah,
fly.
because to get out of the country, there is no direct flights. Because I was actually, just was a bit worried about that. So there's no. So it's either they go so that the buses will convey them to, from
Egypt.
Khartoum, then that will take them to Egypt, and
So
from
Egypt
Egypt
they can
they
fly
can
out.
connect a flight.
Mm,
Also because I was listening to the news this evening, there was also concerns from Sudanese community here in Melbourne. They were
mm,
actually, it's funny enough, um, blaming Australian government for not acting fast on that same topic of evacuating Sudanese stranded, like dual citizens.
Australian.
Sudanese Australian,
Okay, all
stranded
right.
in
Okay.
war. And there
Mm,
was a spokesperson from the Sudanese community this evening on the news, actually
mm,
addressing that same issue. And in their case, they had to go, from that Khartoum. Obviously, they travel through the bars, through desert, to get to Egypt. And from there, they go to Jeddah in
mm.
Saudi Arabia, and from there they
They
connect,
can fly.
a flight to
Mm,
Melbourne or wherever part of Australia. So that is kind of that situation. But let's also look at it from this way, like war by its nature is not something that's. It's not like you're traveling and it's it just broke out,
yeah.
and
It
in
wasn't.
that.
Yeah.
It,
But my thing is that we all know Sudan, the situation there had always been, what's the word that I'm looking for? if they're talking about it, they're not like they're not like the thing is, each of every part of Africa, we have things that are unique to us. I know that if South African is saying to you, if you don't stop, I'm gonna kill you. If somebody is saying that to you, come on, just pack yourself and leave the place because they're not joking. I'm gonna kill you. The next thing there'll be guns, and they'll be shooting. It's this is something that I witnessed. This is something that I saw. So when in Nigeria, if somebody says I'm gonna kill you, I'm just joking with you. You know what I mean? Situation in Sudan, it had always been, there's always that thin line. If they are talking about it, don't just wait around to see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because from history, it's like it's it's almost like it's gonna happen. So, and when if that's the case, don't hang around to be caught up in between all this stuff going on. And that's what our government or the ones assigned to look after those outside the country should have been watchful for. Not wait till it's in the middle. The war had already broken. They are already fighting. It's already in the middle of it. The wait is why it's getting difficult to even get the people out.
Absolutely. So on that same topic, um, so it has to do with how many. We are not even sure how many people are there. Just as you said, officially, as I said, the government said 637 Nigerians have been evacuated so far, but there are also reports that there could be up to over a million Nigerian,
Wow.
living in that part, of the world. Even though that is, I guess, that is debatable in terms of how we can have up to that number. But some people believe that it can be up to um, a million, Nigerians living in that part of the world. Like apart from the documented students. Even the
Mm.
documented students, no, we're not even so sure exactly. So
Amen.
let's try and just address this. So in terms of assuring that we have accurate number of, like we had this joke here on the program maybe about a month or 2 months ago, that there was a research around Nigerians in diaspora and there were millions. And you remember I was joking with our producer that that's really over the top. And so it has to do with the how often do we have accurate data on things, even among Nigerian and like our population at home. There are still a lot of question marks around how, and are we really 250 million has been projected. So how can we do more in terms of at least being able to capture how many Nigerians at least are outside in Nigeria? At least these people, one way or the other, they still pass through airports. One way, can we just have
Exactly.
a rough,
The thing
most
is that they, when people leave Nigeria, they they get their passport, right, from the Nigerian government. They were issued those passport legally. They go through the Nigerian airport, mostly Lagos and whatever. The documentation should have been from there. You know what I mean? It doesn't
yeah.
matter where they go to. To start with, who are those leaving the country? We have 250 million people. Now, in May, we've had 70,000 people left. They are documented. They are out of that 250 million. And when we are going out, I'm not sure now, there should have been like a form that will say, okay, are you living? I'm not that there's a form like that here. Are you living temporarily? Are you leaving? Are you migrating?
Yeah.
So out of the 70,000, how many are just going on holiday? How many are leaving to move away from the country? That's how you get your numbers. Now, where they go to, the um, the consular of the country, wherever they go to, are supposed to have access to their document that says they've entered that particular country. So there should have been, for you to have a consular or an ambassador in that particular country, there's an agreement between you and the host country. So how many of my people are in here? Because it's difficult for an ambassador to start chasing, to start checking. But it's very important. I think we're getting to the point whereby the government needs to look into this. How many of our people are in Asia? How many of them are in Australia? How you might not even have the accurate, but as close to accurate as possible.
Yeah, because for obvious reasons, some live
Obviously,
through
anything like this.
land borders and go
Yeah.
through, the road to some Benin Republic, and then from Benin Republic they can go to other parts. Some go through other African countries. I know there was a time it was popular for people to go to Ghana
Hmm.
and travel through Ghana, just to
Hmm.
travel. But I get your point in terms of we can still say authoritatively that at least more than 70% of people living, they still pass through major
The
airports.
airport,
At
yes.
least we can still um, be able to capture. I think the bigger picture for me in this is, like it is difficult for you and I sitting here in Australia and with, I guess with our life, secured and getting our career on track. It's so my take. I'm not telling anyone not to jackpot, or I'm not. It's not my place actually to really lecture anyone on whether to stay or to leave and whatever. I think it's a decision that people have to make. I made that decision when I made it nearly 20 years ago. And if people want to do the same, it is not my place to really. I saw a video posted by Mr. Shodimo a couple of weeks ago when he was in UK,
Hmm.
about state of affairs overseas. There was another one he shared by one guy with this kind of AWE. I think the way he sounded and was talking about situation of things abroad. I look at that. I felt it was a bit too generalized. The one that ignored it
Oh,
was
is
in
it the
English.
guy that was speaking Yoruba and he
Yoruba. I
was
think there
was
was.
conk Yoruba like this?
Yes, and he made a lot of generalization.
Really?
Though
Yeah,
I
too
I
much.
got
Yeah.
his point. The point he was trying to make that things are not easy, are not rosy anywhere. But I think at this stage you feel that many of us living, you feel so sad for many of us with some of the things he was saying. That
Hmm.
sometimes we could just call people because we are so bored, we don't have nothing to do with our lives. We just randomly call people and talk to them because, and it was just making, it made a lot of. But I think the
Maybe,
thing,
maybe in the UK, probably,
yeah,
but I don't think that's the
I
case.
I generally think there's a bit of diaspora bashing that
Mm,
people, it gets a bit of joy in it. I guess it's psychological, in my opinion. It is psychological. Um, People feel for whatever reason people in diaspora are better than them. I don't necessarily think everyone in diaspora is better than
perfect.
anyone at home. But majority they think that people think, or there's a perception that we think we are better. And then so when people come out with, I saw like many people shared that story, like that story about how depressing life can be. And I think, look, maybe this was your experience. Like, it's not bed of roses, but I don't sit at home, I don't have nothing to do, and just call someone in Nigeria for 3 hours just to talk. Like he did a lot of sweeping overgeneralization
Mm,
around
mm,
people with jobs and working from 3 jobs to another. I think it's just a phase. People go through different phases, and I'm sure you've
exactly.
well traveled.
mm.
So I still want us to link this overall discussion, like why are Nigerians even going to places? I think we're talking about safety and government doing the right thing or not doing the right thing, but why are Nigerians actually so desperate to go to some
Anyway,
places? That's
mm,
just a reflection on our
mm,
government and things we'll be talking
exactly.
about.
Mm. If Nigerians will leave Nigeria to go and study in Sudan, then it says a lot that our I mean, we know a lot of Sudanese here. We know that when Nigerians and Sudanese talk or we speak, there's always clarity. There's which place we belong to. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to bash anybody,
Yeah,
but so for that decision to be made, for a parent to send their kid to Sudan to go and study, now I'm very scared for the state of our universities in Nigeria. Over there, they mostly speak Arabic, right?
that's correct.
So it's not like they speak English. I mean, most of those here, they got to interpret their certificate.
Yeah, yeah, they do. Yeah, they speak Arabic and
Arabic and
they speak
Noel
Dinka for
Dinka,
the
yes. So
the South Sudanese. Yeah,
So for Nigerians to now leave Nigeria to move to Sudan, it says a lot about our country, a lot about the state of our education itself. Honestly, if before this war, if somebody had told me that there are lots of Nigerians in Sudan, I would have argued with them that láyé kí ni Naija fẹ́ wá dé Sudan. I would have been arguing that. And I'm like, but at the end of the day, there's something we are all looking for. And when you look at the hierarchy of needs,
mm, mm,
that summarizes it all. Okay, safety, feeding, accommodation, all that, all
yeah,
those are what we're looking for. Nigeria has turned out to be a place that people are not feeling safe, feeling like, okay, if I move away from here and I go to another country, I can't go to the UK, I can't go to the US, I can't go to Canada because I've been rejected again and again. Let me go to another place. Maybe just like what we used to do with South Africa. South Africa was a stepping stone for so many people. When they are rejected by all these other countries, people will find their ways to South Africa, get into the system, and use that to now move to another country or the country that they've always wanted to go. Maybe that's the case. I'm not sure. I don't know. But there's something driving people to make that decision to go anywhere but Nigeria. Probably, and as the more I look at it, the more I can see that probably they are using it as a stepping stone. And around the world, Sudanese, they are still allowed in under refugee status. Maybe that's what our people wanted to tap into. I don't know the story. I would
yeah.
have loved for us to have one of those that have been evacuated to come onto the show and educate us on this, because I'm still kind of like thinking what could have been the reason why we'll have over a million people, a million Nigerians in Sudan.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I've had time to reflect on this as well, and some other places that you find Nigeria. And I think the psyche is so bastardized to the extent that people think, as you said, anywhere outside Nigeria is better, no matter what is going on in that place. They don't even know anything about that place. People are just so desperate. They think that they just need to step out of that Nigeria, and
And
it
they spend a lot of money doing this, then they will get there. they'll find that it's not even better. But
No, no,
because they've
no.
spent a lot of money, they can't go back. Iwájú ò ṣe lọ, ẹ̀yìn ò ṣe padà
Yeah,
sí
yeah.
for
So
majority.
you've seen cases from how the Arabs in Libya, how they treat our people like animals, like
Mm,
how they treat girls, rape, that's level of brutality, and they do that across people, whether you're of the same faith with them. It
mm,
doesn't really matter. They're
matter,
treated like
yeah.
not even second class. They like treated like, if you see some of the racist comments, even from the Arabs towards black people, if you see that or some of the videos where you see the level of
It,
hatred, they
mm,
have towards, black Africans. And that is
mm,
it's just that there's a high level of ignorance that is deep rooted in slavery. People, when they talk about slavery, people always talk about the white Europeans as the,
mm-mm.
slave owners. The Arabs, they also have their own share of
Of it,
slave
yeah. And
trade.
it's happening like never before, even over there now.
Yeah, so they have deep rooted kind of psychology the way they see Africans up to today. And it's just funny, like people are just so, I guess, clouded with religion and all of that. There are information out there that you can know that there are places you go, they don't even like you. There are places you go that even if you prefer the same religion, well, they don't really like you. There's history there that shows that they treat you even worse than the
And the
so-called white
animals.
people in terms
Mm,
of the derogatory words and everything. And this,
mm,
there's a way Igbo will still do their own. So in some of these countries, they still a bit
mm.
very subtle and everything
And
because
even some of their own friends, some of their own people will be the one to speak against that kind of behavior. In these places that we're talking about, no one cares.
like, and that is obvious. That is obvious when people go to Libya in Oman. You see how they rape the women and treat them, and even use animals to sexually molest them. It's all over the place. But I think that there will be people have to. There should be a sense of ownership, on part of people. You are not living under the rocks. You
Mm,
cannot pretend you don't know what is going on in some places. You
exactly.
cannot pretend someone just, talk you into this, and then probably all your belongings or your properties worth millions of naira that you could use to do something meaningful in Nigeria and turn your life around.
Mm,
You cannot pretend you don't understand that you can do something with, for example, 2 million naira, and just dedicate. And if you decide to take that and to go through the forest or through the desert to go and live in Libya, and someone has promised you you're going to be earning so amount of money, and telling you there is one madam there that's going to put you in a one shop or whatever, you cannot pretend you don't know with everything said in the last few years on movies, especially on this,
even on social media.
social media, that we see it almost. You can't pretend, so that is where the ownership comes in. You cannot
Exactly.
just go to some places,
And not
there's
research the
and not,
relationship
yeah, and the risk
between your
around that.
people and the people you're going to be that are going to be hosting you. You need to double check it. When I left Nigeria years ago, of course there weren't internet, there weren't like we have now, that you have it in the palm of your hand. All right. So even when I now left from Nigeria to United States, and I needed to go to Chicago, but I don't know what happened to me. I didn't research it, I didn't check anything. I found myself in New York. I called my host to say I've arrived, and they were like, "Which airport are you?" I said, JFK Airport in the New York, and they were like, "Your journey have just started." Your journey have just. I was just like, "What?" And I'm like, "How many hours?" They said by flight, I think it was around 3 or 4 hours. If I come on the train, it will take me 14 hours. Money Mugbe. What? I was tired. I was heavily pregnant. I was looking forward to just having a shower and sleeping and having good meal to eat. Now I have to, hey, my God. So things have changed from that. I was talking about 1999 there.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Things have changed drastically. You're going to Sudan, check it out, check their history, know about them before you start that kind of journey. You sell things that you own, millions of them, you borrow more money onto it to go and do a journey that you never know whether it's going to be successful or not. People need to do more of their research. Look at this.
Yeah, so yeah, and also you just as we normally do on this show, we just trying to again, we're not apportioning blame to anyone to seek a better opportunity for themselves, but we also think that people should take a bit of they should be accountable as well for their decisions. Government will try, even though people are complaining about. I live in Australia. Dr. Vicky, she's also in the same city. That I live. And this evening, I was hearing the same complaints on the news about Australian government not doing enough to evacuate. And if you look at that again, so we are people that are already citizens here, that
Mm,
they are from that part of the world.
originally, yeah.
They chose out of their own volition to go back home, either to spend some time with family or to do whatever they've gone there to do. And then this broke out. Again, there's a lot of, I guess, call out and even blame game about the government not doing enough to rescue them and all that. So you will always have that conversation. But in Nigeria, in our own case, in Nigeria, we have to look at it that the root cause analysis, why are millions of Nigerians leaving the country? Why are millions of Nigerians going to places where ordinarily people should not even there to? So we still have to put that blame on the part of the government and our leaders for failing to provide
Yeah, yeah.
social
Safely.
economic opportunities for our
Mm,
people, for
mm,
failing to provide policies to there's nowhere in the world where government provides employment to people, but
mm,
governments, you have a small sector within public service, but they created opportunities for private companies and businesses to thrive, to employ as many as possible.
mm,
So we need to do that. We need to do something to really make our people proud. We can't be proud when you can't, no matter how arrogant you think you want to be or proud you want to be, you can't be proud where there's any crisis in the world. Your people are stranded there, even in some
mm,
places that you don't even expect.
mm,
So I'm just like we normally do, just calling out to the governments as people are preparing for 2023 and the new government coming in on the 29th of May. You got to do something for our people. You have to do
mm,
something better to put smiles on the faces of our people, to make them proud and to address things happening. That if people really want to go somewhere, well, so be it. They can go on
mm.
holiday, they can go and do whatever they want to do. But for Christ's sake, there are places that our people should not be going there to
Cannot be. Exactly. Mm. I mean, you talk about government doing their part. I've always said this, and I'm going to say it again. We call electricity power because there are so many things that can do for the country. But in a place where we don't even have electricity, people, there won't be companies. Companies that were supposed to be established, they will be moving on. They will be moving to another country. So many moved to Ghana. So many moved to all our neighboring countries where they have electricity because electricity is so powerful. It controls everything. Imagine if there's no electricity. For a few days ago, there were because they were doing some road work, they had to turn off the electricity for only a few hours. At every point, where we have street, I mean, traffic light, there's so much confusion because we've always been so used to having our electricity on. Now there's nothing to direct, so there were so much confusion. It's the same thing. We need power. If any government that comes there, if Tinubu and his team can make that one of the things to make sure Nigerians have access to power no matter what, it will elevate families, it will help so many people. many companies will be able to open up because we can use
Absolutely.
that power for so many things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's return to our main topic. Now let's just talk about, in your opinion, how proactive do you think the Nigerian foreign missions, how proactive are they in actually protecting
Nigerians.
citizens abroad? And we have to link that with how can they, really be proactive when in many cases, many of the missions, they don't even know have exact number how many Nigerians are in that country. But let's just make it like a theoretical kind of conversation. Do
I believe
you, from your
okay.
own travels around the world, how will you assess, Nigerian missions abroad in terms of how do you think in your travels that Nigerians in many places you've been, they feel that they get something from our missions or Nigerian, embassies overseas? Do they have a sense of, okay, they can get something from, if something really happens, they can get something from them in terms of any citizen protection?
See, it depend. It all this is it should be based on what relationship does the ambassador have with the citizens living in that particular country. What relationship? And that relationship stems from participating in different events that Nigerians are having in that particular country. You are present in their lives. You are present when they are doing things. You are there, you are seeing them, you are interacting with them. And then there's that. I mean, if you can remember 2 or 3 ambassadors ago, I'm trying to remember his name, Olukoni, something like that, something Kani. Olukoni
Yeah, I think,
was
yeah, we had one. Yeah, I remember.
was the ambassador. He was approachable. He attended almost all our events, even all the events that I was there that we invited him to. He was there. This man was proactive in being present, not just in Melbourne, in Perth, in Sydney. He was always there and always speaking, always encouraging, always uplifting. That was the best ambassador we've ever had in Melbourne. I mean, in Australia. And that should be to all ambassadors representing
Yeah,
Nigeria wherever country they were posted to. They're not there for their own personal, uh, uh, their own way, their own thing. They are there to represent the country and to look after the citizens that are in that country. But when they are not approachable, I mean the ambassador and the commission, and they really don't care. There's no, I mean, you go on the internet and you read about the comments, reviews of all these our commissions. It's sad how Nigerians are being treated by those who are supposed to be looking after them. We're not talking about home affairs of that country. We're talking about the High Commission of their own country treating them so badly. And I'm talking about almost all the countries in the United Kingdom, in the USA, in this. Everybody saying the same thing. What is going on? It's like duplicating what's happening in Nigeria,
yeah,
even in
absolutely. Because from my experience, like that was a few years ago, I went to Canberra. That's the only reason I keep my Nigerian passport, just to go if I'm leaving Australia, just to go to Nigeria. Because I personally struggle with the idea of actually applying for a Nigerian visa on my Australian passport. I struggle with it, and that's the only reason I keep my Nigerian passport. I can't really, I struggle to apply for a visa to go to Nigeria. So that's the only reason I renew my Nigerian passport if I'm going. So, but I remember I went there some years ago because I had to travel and my Nigerian passport had expired. And I just saw That was some few years back. The attitude, it was, just a bit, yeah, I think part of the problem is that you have people that they are not part of that society. They are not part of
Mm,
the society that we live. They stay
exactly.
within, they post them from offices in Nigeria, or whatever, as a
Mm,
lucrative offer to come to Nigeria Commission in Canberra, whatever. And they live and do their thing within that embassy. They don't really have the interaction with the people. So, in a lot of ways, their thinking, their mentality is still more like
here.
the way they were, in
Mm,
Nigeria. And because there are things that we do here, like when we first got here or working, that you see you can't do that at work, that you quickly
mm,
adjust to that. The way you talk
exactly.
to people, whatever your
Mhm.
position, you quickly, I think there's that element of that lack of orientation, I guess, and that's, to me, it shows when you interact with people. I love people just being rude. Like, you don't have to be rude, even if you want to explain something. You can still make that point without being rude or just showing attitude. But I think
Mm,
the current ambassador as well, I think is very. I've seen him in places. You remember it was with in November, or was it in September when we were at
the
one of
Igbo
the Igbo Association
Association.
events? He was
It,
there, and
yeah.
yeah, and I'm sure I've seen him in a few other events, Yoruba events, and everywhere. I think just trying to buttress your point around the need for the high commissioners or the ambassadors, wherever they are, to be able to have that build that stakeholders relationship or engagement
Exactly.
with the
Mm-hmm.
community association in that country. I think that is
Mm.
very, very,
Very,
that is
very
very, very,
important. Yeah.
that's very, very important. That's
My
very
son is turning 21, and only a few days ago, we opened some emails. There was a mail from member of parliament in this
okay.
area, a
Okay.
letter congratulating him, wishing him happy, but personalized letter. This guy
Wow.
doesn't. My son said, he's trying sending me this letter, Nigerian mentality. He's sending me this letter so that I can vote for him next time. And we have to explain to him things are different here. That's not the way we do things. This guy believes that you are in his constituent, and he wants to wish you well on your day. So
Yeah,
it's just been, it doesn't have to do it, but that is what we call him doing his job. He doesn't know you, but it
absolutely.
takes his time to personally sign that letter
Sign that letter.
and
Yeah,
posted it to you. Come on, that doesn't happen in a place that we came from. So if somebody has done this for you, no, it's done to me. It's done well. It doesn't have to do it.
absolutely.
And when we're talking about our commissioners coming um, to the people's level, they are not there to just be in their offices and sit
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
They are supposed to mingle. They are supposed to be in their lives, in their events, in checking up on them. Yeah, the commissioner, I mean, the ambassador had been even to my house, this house where we
Okay,
first
okay.
moved in. I remember that. But I heard few things from the association, the Nigerian association, of when they went there to the commission, to the High Commission in Canberra, and they weren't given any attention, not once, not twice. Or when there was an attention, very minimal. We're talking about 5 minutes, and then these are the people that travel. I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but that was what
Okay,
I heard. That
okay.
travel in the plane to go and meet you, meeting that was pre-planned, and then
Okay.
they'll get there. Oh, I have another meeting. I can't do this. I can't talk about this. I can't. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. How would you get close to your people? You are there. When the ambassador actually came here, and my son and my daughters were like, "Ah, why you're so respectful? You're greeting him and being so." And we had to explain to them in a way for them to understand that he's more like the king of Nigerians. He is like the president of Nigerians
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Australia at this point in time. And they were like, "Oh, okay." So it's just like that. But they've got to learn to do more of that and stop doing the way they were doing in Nigeria. whereby they are the rulers and they rule by themselves and they don't care about what happened. Things have to start changing, especially now that there's war here, there's war there, and we don't know what's gonna happen later. Let's do more.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vicky Omifolaji. It's been another, fabulous show. And looking at the time, we've extensively discussed the concerns around the safety of Nigerians stranded in Sudan. We hope the government is listening. We thank them for what they've done in evacuating our people. There are still thousands of them stranded. Please, whoever is in charge, do the best and safely return our people home. So on that note,
And
please.
before you go, before we round up, we need to also appreciate herpes. I heard that herpes is using his plane to, it's releasing some of his plane to evacuate them from Egypt. So we've got to appreciate herpes for that also.
Thank you. And so during the conversation later on, so we hand over the baton to Dr. Vicky to close the show. But keep this conversation going. Share this video. Make comments and share it around. Let it get to people in government, people that are in position. We can do the talk from morning till tomorrow, but people that are actually in charge, policymakers, decision makers, make it go viral so that they will do the needful. Over to you, Dr. Vicky.
Thank you, Mr. Wale Olaito. Thank you very much for that great moderation. It's been two-man woman band for the last 2 or 3 shows, so we've done well. We should actually pat ourselves on the back. We've actually done well. So these topics that we are discussing, especially this particular one today, it's important. And we may think the government, they're not hearing us. I've noticed a few of the things that we've discussed, whatever we suggest, it tends to be what they tend to now move. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I've seen a few.
There's a trend. I mean,
a few
so
cases like that. Yeah.
Whether it's this show or whether great minds are thinking alike, but something is happening. So we are grateful for that. So on this particular topic, we're saying to the government, let's do more than what you guys are doing. Let's take our people seriously, especially when you now look at how much money that people in diaspora are bringing back into the country. It's a lot of billions of naira. So they are part of that country that we need to look after. We need to be sure they're okay. And by making sure they're okay, they are looking after their own interest also. So I want to thank you, Mr. Wale Olaito, for moderating today's show again. And thank you to our producer, Mr. Alabi, for all he's doing behind the scene. And to our viewers all over the world, we thank you. Please watch, share, and comment. Comment and comment and comment. If you have any question, comment, and we'll get back to you. And to our other panelists, Mr. Elvis Nwachukwu is still in transit. Hopefully you join us next week. And Mr. Shodimu, hopefully we'll catch up with you next week. Till next Friday, you all take care. Have a lovely weekend. May God bless you. Bye.
The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. Of Africa. Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. The Nigeria we want. With Vicky Omifolaji. Yeah, me Shodimu. Wale Olaito. I've been saying what Shuku. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. On Vicky Ocean. The Nigeria we want. Great Nigeria. Of Africa.